What's up, everyone? All right, so we're going to go over my trades from today. This was a roller coaster of a day. I, I wasn't expecting it, but you know what? After a big move yesterday on MSGM, it wasn't maybe too surprising that emotions were running pretty high in the market. There was a lot of FOMO. I had FOMO too, right? I mean, I made that video yesterday while I was driving. You know, listen, I was feeling frustrated. MSGM made this huge move yesterday, goes all the way up to $30 a share. But, I was able to talk myself down yesterday and I did not trade it after I, said I was done, which was good. So I strengthened that muscle of discipline. But, that muscle, it was tired today. And so this morning when I sat down, um, and it's like 6:48. This is what happened. All right, so I am on my traveling trading station today, and I sit down. I was like, I want to be sitting at my computer at 7 a.m. because yesterday MSGM, made a really nice move at 7 a.m. and I like just missed it. So I was like, nope, I have to be in front of my computer by 7 a.m. today. I wasn't really thinking that I would trade MSGM. I was thinking that maybe there would be another stock. So anyways, I sit down, I pull up my scans and I see that MSGM is the leading gapper and it's at like $45 a share. And I was like, whoa. Immediately I was like, no way. And it was squeezing. It was moving up like right then. So I opened my platform and I'm like, it's like 6:59. I mean, I'm like, okay, we're coming right to 7. It's squeezing up now. At 7 a.m., that's when a lot of retail brokers come online, which is why we often see a squeeze around 7 a.m. Or we see volume at least. So anyways, I press the buy button and I try to buy 3,000 shares of it at 50 bucks. I get a partial fill. It goes up to 51. I add more at 51. It goes up to 52. I add more at 52. I'm like, here we go. It's game time. And then right here, 7 a.m., it drops $7 a share. And I was like beside myself. All of a sudden the bid like was gone. And it's down to 45 on the bid. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. What just happened? So what I got I got kind of caught up in the momentum and it's squeezing and I pulled the trigger, and what I wasn't thinking about in the moment was the fact that this was a second day of momentum on MSGM. Day 1, fresh momentum, brand new stock at 7 a.m. people were piling into it. Day 2 at 7 a.m. there were people who saw it pre-market going higher but weren't able to sell yet because their broker doesn't let them trade before 7 a.m. So what we ended up having at 7 a.m. was some profit taking. So it drops down. It comes back up and I added. I was like, okay, I still think that this is going to break through. I wasn't expecting that. So I add to the position. It goes up to a high of 51.60. It's not able to break through the pre-market high at 52.64. And so I stopped out there for about a $1,500 loss. Now, that's not that bad. It's not great, but it's not terrible, especially considering the fact that my unrealized P&L, I was down $17,000 at the bottom of that candle wick. And I was like, okay, I've been here before. I've had some big losses. I've had some big swings. I wasn't expecting this to happen, but listen, you got to buckle up because this is the type of stock that's going to trade in a big range. So I didn't panic. I was able to see it through. It comes back up here. And so I got back in. So I added to the position here. And then this red candle, I stop out and I take the loss. I'm down 1,500. Then I get back in at the top of this candle here. I'm like, okay, here it goes. It looks like we're going to break. I get back in at 50, 2,000 shares. It hits a high of 51 and then it flushes down to 49, hits a low of about 48.50. And I was like, uh-oh, this is going the wrong way. I stopped out at like 48.75. I mean, I stopped out like basically at the low. So on that trade, I lost 3 grand. So now I'm down 4,500. I get back in again here. It comes back up to 51. I get back in at 51 and it doesn't go. And I get out real quick and I'm down right around 5,000 on the day on MSGM. Wow. What a quick way to screw up your morning. That all happened very, very quickly. So this is at, let's see. So this is at about 7:10. All right. So then I see MGAM is hitting the scanners. And I was like, okay, you know what? Let's take a pause for a second. MSGM, it's very expensive and the spreads are killing me because I'm getting in at 50 and then I'm selling at 49. Right? I'm losing $1,000 on the 1 point spread like instantly. So I saw MGAM squeezing up, and I was like, you know what? Let me switch gears. This one's cheaper, and it's a little bit of sympathy to MSGM. So I jumped in this one, and I was able to make $1,200 on it, $1,299.49. And my first entry, I got in. I'll show you right here. As it broke this level right here, I got in this candle, and I got in a little high. I got in at 435. So if you look at this candle, you could see that it hit 435 and then pulled back. That micro pullback was where I got long, and it broke over 450, goes up to 470, goes up to 480, ends up going up to a high of 485, which is pretty good. It's like a 20% move. So I made $1,200 on that, and that brought me off of that $5,000 max loss to down around like 3,800 on the day. Okay. Then I'm still watching MSGM on my other chart. So I've got my traveling trading station set up. So I've got a couple screens. And so then MSGM, son of a gun, it breaks over this level here of 52.64 and it rips up to 54.38. And then to 55, 56, to 60, goes all the way up to 64. And I was just like, unbelievable. This is a little frustrating. So I get back in at 52 as it was breaking out right here. But I was scared. I was pretty timid because I had just been at my max loss. So I got back in at 52. I get right out at 53.58. I got back in at 54. I got back out at 54.30. These were with like small share size. So I'm just picking off like really small winners because I'm nervous. I just caught like a 7-point flush. I'm scared. Now it's up so high. Then I get back in it. It goes a little higher. So let's see my next trade on it. I get back in at, let's see, 64. So this was during this pullback right here. I get back in at 64 and I add at 66.65. And then all of a sudden, once again, the bid drops and I'm like panicking for a moment. So I get out of the position at 66. I'm green from the 64 entry, but I'm red on the 66.65 entry. And then it rips up to 67. It's a high of, this was topping tails where it hit 66.71 and dips down. Then it hit 69 and dips down. And I got back in at 69.44. I sell it at 68 for $1.50 loss per share. That was on like 500 shares, $750 loss. Then I get back in at 75 and it goes up to 79 and it hits a high here of 80, but again with small size. And so the long and short of it is I'm down $1,500 on the stock. And I feel, kind of frustrated and a little stupid that I managed to lose money on it. And I gave this whole talk yesterday of FOMO, and then I sit down at 7 a.m. and I'm slamming the buy button, and I got caught up in, that it was squeezing up, and I was like, here we go. So that was not great. I went right to my max loss. And of course, unrealized, I was down 17,000 bucks for a second there. And when it hit the low of 45. And I didn't cut it, right? So I was sort of deer in the headlights because that would have been the biggest loss I've had. Honestly, probably since like, I don't know, March or April of last year. I've been doing a pretty good job keeping my losses small. So, but when you trade these higher price stocks, when they have these big spreads, it can get away from you quick. So this was sort of what I said. So then it's pulling back here, and I'm like, okay, it's definitely still on my watch list. We're holding up. We're in a bull flag. We've got some descending resistance, but this might go. We might get a trade on this through 73, 75, up to 80. And if it breaks 80, we might see 100. So I was like, it's early. Let's just sit tight. I had recouped some losses. I was still down 1,500 on MSGM, but I'd made a little bit on eBet. I'd made 1,200 on MGAM, and I made a little bit on Edible, EDBL. So I was actually up like 1,500, which is a pretty good recovery. I'll show you the eBet trade. So eBet, totally sympathy momentum. This one was squeezing up, sports betting. It's a stock that's, we've traded a few times over the years, and it squeezed up pre-market from $1.50 all the way up to $2.21. Pulls back again at the open, it goes up to 250. So I traded it on this first squeeze right here at 8 a.m. All right, an Edible EDBL. This one I traded on this spike right here at about 8:30. All right, so then VS comes along. And and first of all, so I gave out a little bit of a some caution on MSGM. I said, I'm starting to get a little bit unsure because right here, at about 8:20, it ended up breaking down here. So it was looking like it was doing an ABCD pattern, right? A pop up, a pullback, pop up, a pullback, and then we go. But an ABCD pattern should not break the low, of the pullback. And the low of this pullback was, right around 61.50. So when it broke that low, it was stair-stepping down. So I was like, this isn't great. And we were seeing some momentum picking up on, other stocks, MGAM, eBet, and then VS started to take off. It had some news that came out, and it started to take off at about 8:30. So I traded VS. And as I was trading VS, this action was crazy. It goes from 75 cents, or what was it, a low of 68 cents. It rips up to $1.74. And I bought it. My first entry was on this candle right here as it was squeezing up. But what ended up happening was some big sellers came on the level too and kind of like pushed it down. There was a big seller. Some people bought, but it was like reloading and then dropped it down another 5 cents and then another 5 cents. So I was like, wow, someone is selling some serious size on this stock. And they're selling it within like 2 minutes of it popping up. I don't know. Someone was ready to sell. So I'm just going to back off. Then it rips back up here and blows through the high of 74. And I was like, okay, wow, that's crazy. I'm getting back in. And this thing rips to 2. I added 215. I added 245. It goes up to $3.25. And I was like, I think that's the high right there. That was crazy. The thing went up like 400%. It hit a high of 580% at 415. So, all of a sudden out of nowhere, at between 8:30 and 8:38, we got this crazy move, and I booked some really nice profit on it. It then pulls back, and I got back in for the break over 3 right here, and we get a squeeze up to 415. And that was where I hit my high a day at $6,561, which is where I'm sitting right now today. So I made $5,000 on VS, which, considering it went up 500%, is kind of like a little, not a lot of profit. But anyways, I was sort of, today was a day where I went right up to max loss, and then I sort of sized down, got more conservative, tried to just do quick little base hit trades, get in, get out, get in, get out. And I'm grateful for where I'm at today, so I'm not going to beat myself up too much. But so this is what I said on MSGM. I was like, you know what? Okay, it's 8:30, it's 8:45. What's our obvious stock today? Well, MSGM made a huge move for sure, but here's the problem. If I want to buy 10,000 shares of it at $60 a share, it's going to cost me $600,000 to place that order. So I don't think we're going to see a lot of 10, 15, 20,000 share buy orders going through on this stock because that's a ton of money. In other words, I don't think we're going to see a lot of volume on it today. And if we don't have a lot of volume, it's not going to be able to break through $75 or $80 a share. So I was like, I'm beginning to worry that it's too expensive to give us this big breakout. And let's also not forget that it's up 3,000% in the last 2 days and that they have a shelf registration. So they had a shelf registration right here, which was dated February 1st, 2022. So that shelf registration gives them the right to sell more shares on the market. And I said, now let's also think for a second. The news yesterday was a debt to equity swap. So an investor paid off $1 million of debt that the company was carrying in exchange for about 330,000 shares of the company. Now, 330,000 shares, the closing price of this the day before the move was like $3 a share. So basically they got 300,000 shares at market price. But the news headline was like, the company's paid off its debt, regained compliance, and all of a sudden it squeezes up to, $24 or $27 a share yesterday. So yesterday I was like, that person who owns 300,000 shares is up 20 points. Holy moly, that is a lot of money. They're up millions of dollars, $6 million, right? They put in $1 million, they got 300,000 shares, and when that thing hit $13 a share, they were up 10 points on 300,000 shares. That's $3 million, right? That's crazy. When it hit $23 a share, they were up $6 million. Whoa. And then this morning when it hit $60 a share, $80 a share, wow, that is some serious money. I mean, if they didn't sell, they were up $77 million for a second today. But there wasn't enough volume to sell 300,000 shares at $80. However, I said, if this company doesn't tap their shelf registration and do a secondary offering, it's borderline negligent because the stock is up 3,000%. I mean, let's just think if they sold 1 million shares at $50, they would raise $50 million. And yesterday it had 40 plus million shares of volume. They could have easily sold, it had 50 million shares of volume yesterday. They could have easily sold 1 million shares yesterday at $20 a share and raised $20 million. And considering they just took this, equity to debt swap, it seemed like they probably should. So I said all that and I was like, the combination of the price, the fact that they, I think, need the money, they have a shelf registration, it's up 3,000% in 2 days, I'm concerned that we're going to see a secondary offering. And even if we don't see a secondary offering, I don't think we're going to see the volume to send it higher, especially when there's another stock like VS that's capturing attention. So I was like, I'm done with it. And not 5 minutes later, I'm watching the level 2 and all of a sudden I'm seeing these prints and it's dropping. Secondary offering. So they ended up selling 183,000 shares on the open market, direct price at the market at about $21 a share. So they raised like $4 million. I think they could have sold a lot more. There was easily the volume yesterday that they could have sold a lot more. They could have raised a lot more, and they may regret having not done that because, this stock has just had its best 2 days ever. I mean, this just doesn't happen all the time. They got a little bit of a bailout here, right? The market bailed them out. The market came in, sent the stock up 3,000%, and they had an opportunity here to raise 20, 30, 40, maybe $50 million if they wanted to. And that would have bought them a lot more runway, to keep the business going. But they sold 181,000 shares. And the news came out and it drops. And what's really surprising to me is off of that news, it bounced from 20 all the way back up to $50 a share. Now that I didn't see coming Because if you remember earlier, last year we had HUDI. So HUDI had a sort of similar situation. The stock makes a just absolutely bananas move, banana squeeze. It goes from, $10 a share, I kid you not, to over 200. And then it drops all the way back down to 14 bucks because they did an offering. They did a secondary offering. But the price of the offering, I want to say it was similar. It was like $20. And it went way below that price. So as soon as I saw the offering, I was like, I think MSGM is done. And you know what? There ended up being a really good bounce here. And I'm a little surprised, and I just didn't see it coming based on what we just recently saw with, the last offering on something that was sort of similar. So, the market keeps us on our toes, I suppose. And yeah, I didn't see that coming on MSGM for the bounce, but I still think it's certainly bear. I mean, well, they're diluting the value of the stock by selling these shares. They are raising money for the company to continue operations, but I don't expect it's going to hold these levels. But I could very well be wrong, and maybe it does. In any case, I was on the roller coaster today, and I had a really close call. I could have gotten really smoked today. And it took a lot of composure for me to, when I was at my max loss, to trade really delicately and really cautiously to start slowly chipping away until I finally got that trade on VS that got me just, up to where I'm at today. It was a close call. And, there maybe on another day, the right call would have been to walk away. But because I felt that we were in a hot market today, I felt that this would be a day it would be super risky for people to be shorting because we were seeing these crazy moves. And I'm like, if it's risky for people to be shorting, I think that means this is a day that I should be aggressive to the long side. And that was the right call. There's other days where I go red and I lose, and it is just not a good environment for trading to the long side. And the right call is to shut it down, even if I'm only down $1,000, or certainly if I'm down more than 5,000 and I'm below my max loss. But today I was able to get right up to that level and recover. And it was pretty calm, cool, and collected. I'm not happy that I caught that flush at 7 a.m., but I didn't panic sell, which is the last thing you want to do. You want to be calm, cool, and collected. So sometimes you get caught in an unexpected situation and you have to trade your way out of it and see the light. And I was able to thread the needle today and trade my way from red back to green. Calm, cool, collected. And I'll be back at it first thing tomorrow morning. Tomorrow, by the way, at about probably 10 a.m., probably be about 10 a.m., I'm going to come on live on YouTube and do a free class for you guys again to celebrate Groundhog's Day. All right, so tune in tomorrow about 10 a.m. for a live stream on YouTube. Thank you as always for tuning in for this recap. Reminder, trading is risky and my results aren't typical, and there's no guarantee you'll find success. Whether you trade on your own, you'll learn from me. So please take it slow, practice in a simulator, and manage your risk. Thank you guys. I'll see you tomorrow.